I was already rejected by a Hinge match because of this video. I was rejected by a matchmaker this week. You wouldn't be able to work with me. I'm very, very type A. I like to be the leader. I matched with him on the dating app and we were chatting, and then this video blew up. He said it came across his For You page and he was like, oh, I'm chatting with her.
But I've been doing a lot of work on myself. You have to work on yourself in your 20s, because if you don't, then you'll turn 30 and all the shitty parts of your personality will solidify and that'll just be who you are now.
I'm getting ready to do my very first injections for freezing my eggs. You're 37, why not just have the kid if you want kids so bad? Also, I'm not ready for parenthood. Can you imagine me a mom now? Y'all, I've got some more concerts to go to.
Welcome to Real Girl World, your go-to destination for all things dating and relationships. My name's Hannah Jordan. You might be familiar with Danielle by now. She is an avid user of TikTok and she shares every detail on her life, including her dating.
I'm getting older, fatter, and uglier. Please, Marge, help me find a man before it's too late.
Oh, okay, Salma, but only because you're so desperate and you asked so nicely. But by the end of this video, you're going to find out exactly why Danielle got dumped by her matchmaker, why she's having a hard time finding a husband, and addressing her ticking fertility clock. Let this be a cautionary tale for all the modern women. Here's Danielle's first viral video.
I was rejected by a matchmaker this week. You wouldn't be able to work with me. I'm very, very type A. I like to be the leader. I also told her I was looking for a man who was also a leader because I don't want to always be the leader, believe it or not.
Are you sure about that?
I told her I was looking for someone that was at or above the same income level as me, driven, who is ambitious, who is ready for a long-term relationship and ready to get married.
Whew, I'm exhausted already just watching all of that. So she's clearly a bit of a control freak. She is very driven, very boss babe. She obviously makes good money, but she wants a man to make the same amount or more.
No.
Despite being independent, hypergamy is very much at play still. The traits that she's describing, she believes are all very, very positive, but in actuality, a man is going to look at her and think she's possibly going to be very argumentative and difficult to be around. Now let's remember she's 38, and usually by the time you're about 30, most people's personalities have already set, which means it's very unlikely that someone that age is going to be open to criticism or suggestion for changing themselves.
But I've been doing a lot of work on myself. You have to work on yourself in your 20s, because if you don't, then you'll turn 30 and all the shitty parts of your personality will solidify and that'll just be who you are now. Your 20s are an opportunity to fish trash out of the lake before it freezes over. It's like, ooh, what's that? Codependency? Daddy issues? All right, better get all that out of there, because winter is coming.
She may have actually picked up on the fact that I'm a little high-strung.
Wow.
Not like a stressed out or anxious person. I'm just high energy or type A. This is who I am.
So we're hearing some keywords that are going to be some red flags for men. Saying you're highly strung could mean that you're a neurotic person. You could be highly emotional and even irrational at times. Having a high energy, type A personality, what that tells me is she doesn't know how to relax, how to enjoy an evening in, and she always fills her schedule with places, people, and activities. These types don't know how to be alone because there's a lot going on internally and in their minds, so they have to keep themselves busy to avoid having to focus and work on those internal issues.
When talking about what I didn't like in a man, I said I could never really be with a beta type man. I specifically used the word doormat. I said I would chew them up and spit them out. He was saying that, men really like a soft woman and I should try some of these vision board, journaling, meditating type of things. Would never gonna be that type of person.
So she won't even take instruction from someone who's supposed to be an expert in their field, someone who understands the dynamics between men and women so that they can match them together. So beta male or not, she's gonna have a very difficult time submitting to any man. And she admits that she's not going to do any kind of journaling or meditation because that's not who she is. But again, we're seeing how her personality has completely solidified where she won't even attempt to do the thing that would actually genuinely help her.
She also said that she could sense I had some walls up, which of course, I'm coming to meet a woman who I'm asking to find my future husband at the rate of several $1,000s. I, of course, am gonna be here really just trying to interview you, my dear friend, because I wanna know if I'm gonna get my money's worth with you. So of course I'm gonna have some walls up.
Now, on its face, it might sound reasonable, but there comes a time in everybody's life where you have to have some faith, especially when you're employing someone who is supposed to be an expert. And the same goes for relationships. She wants a man to lead, but that would mean that she would have to have trust. And that means relinquishing all control and being vulnerable.
She essentially said that I am not ready for her type of services because I have too much work to do. My walls are too high and I'm not ready for a long-term committed relationship at the ripe age of 38, where I have been in therapy for 10 plus years. She also said that she's too woo for me, which I can accept that, that's fine. However, I shouldn't need to be a woo type person to be worthy of love. She also said that I need to soften a little bit, and men like a softer woman.
The matchmaker is absolutely right. The type of man she's looking for, a leader, is looking for a soft woman to complement their masculine traits, just like in nature. A balance of the yin and the yang energy, because opposites attract. Men and women's personality traits are supposed to complement each other, not for them to compete. She obviously has a victim mentality if she thinks the matchmaker dumped her because she's not worthy of love. But what the matchmaker is trying to show her is that she has these masculine traits that are not attractive to men because of that yin-yang balance. And that tells me that her therapist of 10 years has failed her during her most critical years to undo the negative behaviors she developed to remove baggage before her personality solidifies. Most likely because her therapist is a feminist. And these women don't recognize that these masculine traits are off-putting to strong, masculine men. It's ironic how she says her matchmaker says that she has to soften, but she says it like this.
She also said that I need to soften a little bit.
She says it with a hard T. And it's interesting that these things seem to seep into every part of our being, except she's attributed these things to being natural personality traits that she was born with.
Essentially, I spent $350 to meet with this woman, have her tell me I am not worthy of love as I am, but the fact that I need to change in order to be worthy of love and partnership. Which honestly, I think for that reason alone, she should have her matchmaking license taken away, because we shouldn't be pushing on these narratives that people are not worthy as they are, and essentially telling women that the type of woman they are isn't worthy of love. That is a narrative that should not be given to anyone, or it is dangerous commentary. And the fact that she said this to my face had some audacity.
I know you've seen that neurosis of the type A personality, the control freak coming out, where she just cannot fathom the idea that she might have to change some parts of her to become more compatible with the type of man that she's looking for. But instead, she has made herself out to be a complete victim, and that this matchmaker is completely out of line.
Well, we're celebrating my 38th birthday tonight, and we are gonna wash all of what she said aside. I am so excited. And we're gonna believe that no matter the type of woman you are, love is out there for you. We are not gonna listen to this toxic narrative.
And Selma, do you think you'll ever get married?
Oh, I don't know. Why? You know somebody?
No. And since I'm sure that you'd only resent the pity of an 8-year-old niece, I'll simply hope that you're one of the statistically insignificant number of 40-year-old single women who ever find their fair prince.
So that's the end of the first video, and it's the same video that actually got her a rejection on Tinder, and you'll see that coming up right now.
I was already rejected by a Hinge match because of this video. I matched with him on the dating app, and we were chatting, and then this video blew up. He said it came across his For You page, and he was like, oh, I'm chatting with her. And let me show you what he said. Hinge must speak to TikTok, blah, 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 blah. I realize it didn't work for you, but based off the way you described it, I feel like she's trying to match me with people I would be compatible with. Would you mind giving me her info? Y'all, and of course, I gave him the info.
Wait, so she matched with a guy who then went into her social media and watched that video and decided, you know what, I'd rather just skip all of this and go straight to the matchmaker because he saw the true value of what she was offering. And she seems to have no concerns with how ridiculous this looks, or, you know, the fact that apparently they were talking and he obviously didn't find her personality that great. They're talking like buddies now, like, hey, can you hook me up with your matchmaker? Because, you know, things aren't working out with us. I don't know, that's just highly embarrassing. And she puts it on there like, look at me, I'm so cool, I'm chill.
Told him exactly who it was because he asked in a private message. And hello, I am grateful I didn't waste a date with this guy. He clearly thinks, based on the video, we are not compatible, and that is fantastic. Let's weed out anyone that is probably not going to be a good match for me. If they see themselves out, that's fine. And he did it in a kind and respectful way, which I totally appreciate. So of course, like I said, I gave him the matchmaker's info, told him to let her know that I was the one that gave it to him, and I hope he finds his match that way. That would just be amazing. I do think that matchmaker is going to help some people find love. Obviously, it's not going to be me. Hopefully, it's this guy. And we can all live happily ever after.
In a lot of ways, she's right in the sense that when it comes to rejection, you can't take it so harshly and assume that you can appeal to all people, because that's not true. Not everyone's going to find you attractive. Not everybody's going to enjoy your personality. But if it was me and I knew that a video that I put out on social media had put off a guy, I'd be trying to look very objectively at my content or hire someone who can do that for me to evaluate whether or not what I'm doing is putting people off. But to do that, it requires being self-aware. When you post your entire life on social media and showcase your dating experiences, you have to understand that it's sort of like having an online living resume. Anyone can come along and see everything about you and assess who you are quite easily. See, first of all, very high quality men already think it's a negative to have a strong online presence, especially if you show yourself partying and hanging out with other men. Men like exclusivity. But even that aside, you have to be self-aware to know that your personality offers the agreeable, feminine, soft qualities that tells a masculine man that you're going to let him lead you. That social media account is going to determine if you should even be considered for a first date. I think the most important thing for women to understand, to find a good man, you have to recognize the traits that are unappealing to men and actually care about what men want and be willing to change. And that's why I said earlier it would have been better had she been given this advice 10 years ago, because then she would have had a chance before her personality had solidified that she'd be able to change those masculine traits, or at least be aware of the things that might be off-putting to men. But to do that, you have to care about what men think and get to know what men are looking for. Otherwise, you might end up like this woman going through what you're about to see next.
Why not just have the baby? Why go through this whole process of freezing the eggs? Well, that's a great question to ask, as I am 37. They said in their comment, you're 37. Why not just have the kid if you want kids so bad? Number one, it's not just about having a kid. It's about preserving opportunity. And I find it to be extremely patriarchal to have this idea that women need to have kids by a certain age. It's also completely ignorant of the fact that women are healthier and living longer than we used to. So this idea that we need to have kids by a certain age needs to really be rethought, and we need to change mindset.
I think the change in mindset's already occurred with the advent of feminism, and that's why you're 37, preserving your opportunity, as you like to call it, because you're in marketing, because you haven't prioritized your reproductive health, because having a child by a certain age is simply biological, not patriarchal.
Also, I'm not ready for parenthood. Can you imagine me a mom now? Y'all, I've got some more concerts to go to.
And here she is, going to a Taylor Swift concert, just like all the other girls and teenagers who are obsessed with her. But remember, she's in her late 30s, singing along to a woman who's also in her 30s, who's single and with no children. And this is the type of activity these grown women are doing, and they wonder why they're having a hard time being seen as serious wife material for good quality men. These grown women on the one hand are saying that they are too young to settle down and have children, but at the same time recognize that their biological clocks are ticking and needing to preserve their eggs. And using Taylor Swift lyrics in their dating profiles which to me is a whole red flag if you've ever listened to them, which I don't listen to her music, but I've read her lyrics, and I'm a nightmare dressed like a daydream. This is just like teenage rebellion. It's all very empty and definitely not wife-worthy. And speaking of juvenile, here's something else that I've noticed that women do. They fixate on the most unimportant things, and I think that's why men don't take women seriously.
Another rejection story. I know you guys love them. This time, rejected by an Android user. Y'all, Android people are wild. I matched with this guy on Hinge and I noticed he had green text, so of course I had to give him a little shit about having an Android. As one of my friends pointed out, this is literally the oldest joke in the book. Oh, you have an Android? It's a red flag, because obviously I have an iPhone.
I'm not sure what makes this funny. Like, I didn't know this was an old joke, but it's obviously an inside joke between women with iPhones, because I have an Android.
He literally said he didn't want to go out because of the fixation on the difference in our phone types. I mean, how is that a turnoff? It's literally the oldest joke in the book.
But you didn't even throw an emoji in there. You didn't even like make it seem like you were joking. It just seemed like, oh no, I'm obsessive again. Because apparently that's what a lot of women are like when it comes to iPhones. It's just this running meme that men with Androids, oh, red flag. It's not actually a joke, it's just that she's saying it is to save face.
He's a 10, but he has an Android phone. What's his new rating?
A 3. It's like such bad photo quality. And you don't get an iMessage? 5. How am I gonna communicate? It's green texts and I'm doing blue. Divorce, then 0.
How about, sir, it's a turnoff that you do not have a sense of humor and you are so attached to your phone that you can't take the joke. I mean, seriously, y'all, Android people are something else.
See the projection there? Because she said you are so attached to your phone that you can't take a joke. This is a strictly female iPhone obsession. It's immature, he's had enough, and he would rather just have a grown-up conversation with somebody else who's got something useful to add to the dialogue. Now, coming back to the IVF stuff, I just really want to emphasize exactly what it looks like for a young woman who decides to put her career first over her biology and over her desire to have a family.
Also, I really came to a realization a few years ago where I was like, you know, I can't be so hard on myself for not having had kids yet. So many people have kids earlier in life, and that's great, and they do all of this sort of fun stuff that I'm doing later in life. I let go of that idea and instead embrace the fact that I am doing all of these fun things before kids, and that's okay. None of that is right or wrong or anything like that. Either way, we all have to do what's best for us.
You know, I think this is the end game, the lie that has been sold to women, that they can have their cake and eat it too. That you can be that boss babe and still attract that man. But unfortunately, whilst being in pursuit of those careers, women have innately forgotten what men like and what they don't like, as they become just like men without even realizing it, and are told that it's not even their problem that men aren't attracted to them. But in reality, the dating market reflects this, and unfortunately, lots of women are going to be alone in the future as a result of their feminist ideology. And despite all my criticisms of this woman, I really do wish the best for her, and I make this video to be able to help other young women who are walking in her footsteps to maybe stop and reevaluate where they're going and what they want out of life and how to get there. Because I really truly do believe that we are capable of change almost at any age. It just depends on how badly you want it. So click the like button and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss another video, so that I can bring you more advice on how to date in the real girl world.